The Democratic Senate primary in Michigan features Abdul El-Sayed. He's a former health official and progressive, running against Haley Stevens, a moderate who served in Congress since 2018. This has been a bruising and unfriendly contest between the progressive and moderate wings of the Democratic Party. And in an election year dominated by economic issues, the candidates have found themselves discussing electability, campaign finance, and corporate and outside influence in our politics. Something called the United Democracy Project, the super PAC, which is directly affiliated with the American Israel Political Action Committee, or AIPAC, has poured $30.6 million into the race for Haley Stevens. That's according to Federal Election Commission filings. Michiganders have been inundated with TV ads. $81 million have been spent on ad reservations in this race. Outside groups, including AIPAC, have spent $61 million to support Haley Stevens. Both candidates spent the final weekend of the campaign in Detroit, courting the city's 75% black population. Now, black voters have become a key focus of both campaigns. Stevens has generally polled ahead of El-Sayed among this key voting bloc. While El-Sayed hits Stevens on campaign finance, Stevens argues El-Sayed lacks the ability to win the general election. The Republican candidate, Mike Rogers, came 20,000 votes away from winning a Senate seat in 2024, but was defeated narrowly by a moderate, Elissa Slotkin. And electability is of genuine importance in this race, particularly because any path to Democratic control of the Senate runs through North Carolina and Michigan. I'll be speaking to candidates in both of those races tonight, the former North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, who is the Democratic Senate nominee, and Abdul El-Sayed of Michigan. We also invited Haley Stevens on our show tonight, as we have done repeatedly. She declined our invitation, but the night is young. So if Haley Stevens people want to call, we will put her on the show tonight. Joining me now is Abdul El-Sayed, Democratic candidate for the United States Senate in Michigan. Abdul, good to see you again. Thank you for being with us.
Ali, it's always a privilege. Thanks for having me.
We're going to be up late tonight. Michigan's always a complicated place. It takes a long time to count the votes, and I say that so that voters understand that it might be a late night. And no matter what happens across much of the state, your attention and Haley Stevens' attention, and frankly our attention tomorrow night, is going to be in Wayne County and the counties around it. That is Detroit and the areas around it, because they are the main population centers in that state. Tell me about what you're thinking about how that's feeling for tomorrow.
I'll tell you this, we feel really, really strong. And, for me, it's a bit of a full circle moment. My dad immigrated to America to come to Wayne County to go to Wayne State University because he wanted to make cars. As I march with the UAW, as we work to get the vote out, as we talk about getting money out of politics, putting money in pockets, passing Medicare for all, as a guy who served Wayne County and the city of Detroit, I know what Michiganders living in these communities need and deserve, and I know they'd be so much better served by politics that's less interested in what corporations want or special interests want, but what they want, what they worry about when they look their kids in the eye. But I'll tell you this, as we knock doors, our campaign has about 12,000 volunteers knocking nearly 10,000 doors a day. We're getting 60% positive IDs. And people are telling us that they're really just sick and tired of politics as usual. And that's room for comfort in a moment like this. But, we take nothing for granted. Polls don't vote, people vote. So we're hoping that every Michigander out there will get out to vote by tomorrow. Polls close at 8 o'clock. We're excited to see the outcome.
Well, you're right. Polls don't vote, people vote. But when we look back at elections in Michigan, what we see are a lot of close elections, state level elections and your federal elections. In the last election, Mike Rogers lost to Elissa Slotkin. It was very, very narrow. And Elissa Slotkin does characterize herself as a moderate. So there are some Democrats who are expressing concern about your ability to win, maybe not tomorrow, but in November. So how do you plan to either explain or sell your progressive politics to a state in which there are a lot of moderate swing voters?
Well, should I win tomorrow, I hope people do a little bit more than worrying, because what we need to do is grab a clipboard and go knock on some doors. We need to make those phone calls. We need to do the work that our campaign has been doing up and down the state. I'm sick and tired of hearing about Democrats worrying. We got to stop worrying. We got to start talking, because we have a lot to say about how to solve Michiganders' problems. I've been up and down my state for the better part of 15 months. I've been hearing from people telling me that it just shouldn't be this hard to afford your groceries or afford a tank of gas or believe you could ever own a home or see a doctor in the richest, most powerful country in the world. Mike Rogers, the guy one of us will be facing down in November, this is a guy who served in Congress for 14 years, and his crowning achievement is that he helped to architect the legislation that ended up kicking off the opioid epidemic. This is a corporate shill wrapped in a MAGA robe, and I think we can beat him if we're willing to actually show up and do the work. We're so worried about what they're going to say about us. Let's start talking about them. Let's start talking about the corruption that we've seen out of this administration. Let's start talking about what will happen if we continue to sell our state off to the highest bidder. We could do so much better. So I'm looking forward to beating him because I know we got a message that is so contrary to what he wants. I want money out of politics, money in your pocket, Medicare for all. This is a guy who's built his career on money in politics. He's taken money out of our pockets. And he, if he had his choice, would have Medicare for none. I think the contrast is clear.
All right. So you're saying let's stop worrying about us and start worrying about them. The Michigan Democratic Party is planning a rally on Friday to unite the party after this primary. I'm guessing that you'd like to be the victor and be there. But will you undertake to attend that rally one way or the other on Friday?
Look, we have a responsibility to lock arms and beat Mike Rogers, defeat Trumpism. We need a Senate majority. You worked through the math with folks. We understand what's on the line. I think all of us understand, regardless of our differences, there's a lot that unites us when it comes to beating Mike Rogers. So I'm looking forward to beating him. I certainly hope that I am the nominee. We feel really strong about that proposition. But we also know the dire responsibility we have. We only got 13 weeks left to work. So for anybody watching this race, don't be worried. Go out and get the work done.
I didn't quite hear a yes there. You're going to go to the rally on Friday?
No, I'll be there. I'll be there.
Oh, you're going to the rally? As the nominee or not
Yes,
as the nominee, you're going to the rally?
I'm going because we got to beat Mike Rogers.
All right. Thank you for that. Haley Stevens has said, and again, I want to underscore, I don't like it, but I want to underscore it's been a bit of a bitter fight. I'm not one of these people who thinks bitter fights within a party are necessarily a bad thing. I think this is what big tent parties should look like, but that's just my personal opinion. Haley Stevens has said she will back you, in her words, quote, full force as the nominee. Now, I'm hearing from what you're saying that you will back her as the nominee. You'll be at the event on Friday. But you have issues with how she raises money. So can you put those issues aside? If she were the nominee, will you back her full force if she's the nominee?
Like I said, I am committed to beating Mike Rogers. I'm going to do what needs to be done to do that. I also think it's important for us to recognize that we as a party need to be able to offer a very clear contrast to Republicans. So my point isn't just about how folks raise money. It's about the onslaught of outside spending that has come into this race. You highlighted the differences in money. You're talking about $60 million. By the time all the reservations are done on Tuesday, we're looking at $70 million of outside spending. That is anti-democratic on its own terms. And I think for us to be able to win, we have to be able to contrast how it is that we run campaigns. We shouldn't be taking money from the very same super PACs, the very same corporations, the big pharmas and the big techs and the Blue Cross Blue Shields and the DTE, our local utility PACs. We need to be able to demonstrate that we're for working people. So that really is my issue. But look, if you're for working people, you've got to beat Mike Rogers. Mike Rogers has never seen a corporate PAC check he did not want to cash. It's the reason that he sold Michiganders out every single year he was in Congress. And we all understand the stakes of being able to stand up against him. So I'm looking forward to fighting that fight. I'm confident that come Tuesday, we're going to be leading that charge. But we have a responsibility to beat him. And I think everybody understands the stakes here.
The way this is going to go tomorrow night, because Wayne County takes longer and it's big, is that we're going to see a lot of things around the state. You might be winning. Haley Stevens might be winning. If you're ahead, Haley Stevens' team will probably warn us to don't count chickens before they're hatched because of Wayne County. The polling around African American voters, majority of Wayne County's majority black, has got you behind by somewhere between 15 and 20 points, depending on whether you look at it. An Emerson poll, there was another poll this weekend, Detroit News WDIF poll. What have you been doing to make up that ground, and why do you think that exists?
Well, I'll tell you this, that 60 million, 70 million in spending, it does something. When a lot of those ads come in the form of a fake endorsement from President Obama, or their attack ads on my character, they're going to have an effect. There's a reason all these corporations and special interests spend that money. Now, my relationship with the Black community, with Detroit, with Wayne County, where I've served both for the city and the county, is not built on a couple of photo ops or a barrage of attack ads. My relationship is built on a series of projects that I was able to complete and work on when I served the city as health director and served Wayne County's Department of Health, Human and Veteran Services as its director. And so I'm confident, right, given the on-the-ground relationships that we continue to build, given the long-standing relationships that we built, that we're going to perform pretty well. Again, polling doesn't vote, people vote. And we've been knocking on 10,000 doors a day, closing really strong here. So I feel really confident in the close. And also just say Wayne County is very big. It's about 1.8 million people. Detroit is largely majority Black, but you've got a number of suburbs in the community. So it is a mixed picture. And I'm looking forward to seeing what comes on Tuesday.